pause. Okay. This is the discussion of Colored Television by Danzy Senna. I'm Don Shay, and this is Eclectics the Book Club. So I just want to start by saying that I personally was not a fan of the book. Um, like there was moments where it could have been great, but I still just ended up giving it like 3 stars, maybe. Um, and so what I was just about to say was that I have a lot of lingering questions, um, and things like on perspective. Like my biggest one is why, out of all of the people in Hollywood, the birds are gonna keep chirping. Okay, why out of all of the like malicious people in Hollywood did the person who stole her work have to be a black man? That didn't sit well with me. It was like, was it meant to not sit well? That I
I
don't.
feel like that's how I felt too. Because I was like, now why he do her like that? Was it because she turned him down? I don't know.
But that's the thing.
I'm just,
I don't even think he was making real advances at her.
yeah, he wasn't
When it
too.
like she wanted to be wanted.
Yeah, but in a way, I kind of felt he was going to when he looked at the book and then he was like, I'm going to take it with me. I
Uh-huh.
was like, he too invested in getting this book and didn't respond to her. I was like, uh-oh. But he could at least ask her to like just come in there or I don't know.
But
It
it's like
was weird.
he would have had to like share like the creative process and like the credentials for it with her. Like they would
True.
have had to split that.
Yeah.
Like it
So
was
he,
like his original idea.
yeah, that was just, I was like, oh man. And she was all over the place too. I think she had an identity issue.
Yeah, like
I
even
didn't I didn't feel like she was sure of herself and I don't think she was really comfortable in her skin that she was mixed. And then she was kind of I felt like she was confused about marrying her husband. I was like, oh,
yeah, like she didn't know what she wanted out of life aside from being a writer. And I kind of said this in the in-person discussion on Friday. I was just like, writing was her identity. Like everything else was secondary and just felt like boxes she was checking off. Even just like, oh, like marrying him and having kids. Like she didn't really want kids. She just seen it in a magazine. And then she's like, okay, maybe I should want that. And it
oh
just
my
like very it felt very weird. It was a very weird energy I got from her as a character. And I typically don't shy away from unlikable characters. I normally really like unlikable characters, but
uh-huh.
he was just unbearable. Like I think
Yeah,
the difference between unlikable and unbearable, and she was just unbearable from beginning to end. It was like a lot of like, woe is me. Like my life
yes.
should be better because I'm biracial. Like I should be having these things because I'm biracial. And it's like you're not really doing a lot of things in order to get that life that you feel like you deserve.
Yeah. She was making an excuse for a lot of things.
Hmm. And I also didn't like the kids, they needed to be taken away. The kids need to be taken away. Because why y'all house hopping like this? Like they don't have any type of stability and neither the mom or the dad are committed to having a real job or any type of sustainable lifestyle for the kids. Like they're just so focused on their art.
Oh yeah, for sure. The dad, he was just so laid back, and he was very. His character was very stern and like, "Hey, this how I think, and nobody's gonna change that."
And at first I was like, oh, I kind of like Lenny. Like he's not that bad. But then that was when I was only about like 200 some pages in. And in those last 70 pages, he was just like a jackass, to say the least. Like it was just
It
like,
was
it was like he told her, you too busy worried about your art when you should be worried about like finding a home for your kids. And it's just like, are these not your kids too?
exactly. This is both of our kids, and our we both need a house, a roof over our head. But he did make it funny though. I see why they was saying that it was kind of like a comedy. He was funny in the what's his name, Harry that stole the her
Oh,
book idea. Yeah,
Hampton.
they both was funny.
Yeah.
Hampton, yeah, they both was funny.
I was just like, why is she? Like the author was just like, she was just doing a lot of name dropping. And it was like, for what? Like even just that whole spiel about the Kardashians, it's like, do you hate?
Yes.
Like, what is it? What's your beef with them? And then, like, I don't know, like I feel like we was just led astray by the synopsis. I don't feel like the synopsis really captured what the book is actually about.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't what I thought it was going to be.
And it was very, I don't think I laughed as much as I had hoped to. It was just a lot of like cringy moments.
Her taking that perk, what was it? That,
I think was it a perk? I don't know. But just
but
taking
yes,
books and his little minions,
yes, because I was like, what? What kind of creator? What kind of writing studio is this? Where they taking drugs out of the bowl?
and it's just like, oh, this is normal. She's like, oh, I never come down. Huh? When she
She's like, if you can't get a hold of any more, then just sleep it off.
like what? They like it's candy. And it's just like I did like that it was like showing us like the behind the scenes of like trying to get your writing or get your work into the right hands and just how hard it can be. Like even just as a I think I was hoping for it to be more of like the publishing industry. And I don't know why I expected that, even though like the synopsis did say like it would be about like Hollywood, but I was expecting a little bit more from her agent and stuff. But just like
Mhm.
how real it felt like with them ghosting her, and then it took her 10 years to write the book, and it was just like she was just left in the dust. It was like she did all that, dedicated all these years to it, and it was just like, well, there's nothing. And it's just like, as a writer, what do you do next?
Yeah.
And I think like the author did do a good job of showing like how discouraged she was and how she started to like second guess herself and her talents. Because it was just like nobody was responding to her, nobody seen it as this great success like she did.
And then did she really see it as a great success though? Because well, no, it's not all that. That's what she always say. It needs a little work.
Yeah. Um, let's see. Somebody said the link isn't working. Let's see.
Yeah, I couldn't get it to work either. I clicked on your link tree and that's how I was able to find it, but the one on Discord wasn't working.
Okay, let me try. Sorry about that. I'm glad you made it nonetheless. We was just talking about the book and just like what it's like to be a writer and like being discouraged by like your failures. I feel so bad. I did not know the Zoom link was working. But yeah, does anyone else want to share like their initial like feedback thoughts since y'all just jumped on?
Oof. Oof. I don't know where to start or end. I don't know. Like it was tough. I couldn't get into it.
Okay.
I tried reading, I tried ebook, I tried audio. It was just like, where are we going with the storyline? At one point I was like, is it me? Am I overthinking this? Like, what is going on? Um, a couple of things that just was turning me off. One was they were drinking Brett's wine and didn't have zero care in the world about it. I'm like, it's not your wine. Like you're house in somebody's house. The
Mm.
other thing that I had like a big issue with is the idea that she stole from him. I also had a hard time that they didn't provide stability for the kids. They were like always on like go to go to go to go. And I feel like she was, and maybe because like, you know, I have an autistic child and it kind of like hit me differently, but she was like so in denial with his diagnosis and, you know, how to properly, you know, take care of him. And it was just, it's a lot of emotions that was like really pissing me off about what was taking place in the book. And then she was fantasizing about Brett, and then it was just her selling the story. I'm just like, oh, okay, I'm done. I'm done. My rant is done.
Oh, I feel like you touched on a lot of good things that I want to come back to because Jane was a very audacious character. Her and Lenny, they were just very audacious, and I think
Yes,
what bothered
yes.
me the most about them. Um, Betty, do you want to say anything else before we jump into her points?
I think for me, I actually read it very quickly, but it's because I kept waiting on something to happen and trying to figure out where the story was going. It's kind of how sometimes I'll start watching a series of a show and not really like it, but I just have to know like what's going to happen. That's kind of how the book felt. I don't know what I expected from it because it was already on my reading list. So for some reason, I was already planning to read this book, but then I was like, why? Where did I get this referral from?
That's the same thing for me because sometimes when I'm going through like book club picks, I'm just like, oh, let me see what I already own and what I feel like a lot of people probably already also own too. So then it's not like everybody's having to buy new books. But I was like, why did I want to read this book so bad? Why was it on my list? And it's just like it was a disappointment because I could see how you were reading it fast, like because it always felt like something big was about to happen or that it was leading up to something. And then it's just like the ending was just like anticlimactic. It was just like, okay, this is it. Like I just feel like it was always like something bigger was gonna happen and nothing bigger happened. But I guess that's like part of the story, if you will, because it's like she was expecting something big to transpire in her life and then ultimately nothing big happened. But that's kind of a disappointment for a book. You want something big to happen or to take place.
I
But
agree because it was on my to be TBR list as well too. And then when I saw, I was like, why? Like I seen it floating around. Why? Why? Once we were like talking about it, why? Because maybe I'm missing something because it was like a big no for me. Yeah.
yeah, because I was looking back, I was like, did I see any positive reviews or did I just see the cute book? And I was like, had to be I just seen the cute book because that's the only thing. And the synopsis made it sound like it was gonna be a lot more, like it was gonna have much more to it. Like I was expecting something, I don't know if you all have read it, but like along the lines of Yellowface, where it was a lot more, it was a lot more entertaining, it was a lot more thrilling. I don't feel like this was entertaining enough. And then like the topics that she could have like drove home, she kind of like just shied away from. Even just like the whole concept of being poor in LA and being a writer. She could have really like went deeper into that, but it was just like this little thing here and all the mulatto biracial stuff was just here. And it was just like I don't think it actually explored the racial industrial complex for a biracial person, in my opinion. But I don't know. What do y'all think? Like, how do y'all think she did with giving us a biracial character? Like, were you a fan of her? Like, did you feel any type of indifference towards the way that she navigated her race and her identity?
No, I don't think she expounded on it a lot for me to like. be in favor of her opinion of it. It just was like a general label, and she kept like running with the story. So I still was like lost um with the whole mulatto theme that she heavily relied on.
Hmm. Yeah, I just don't think it like showcased. It was just like this is an identity like that Jane was attached to, but she didn't really move move through life with that. Like we didn't really see like true complications of being a biracial woman within this Hollywood scene. Like I don't feel like that was really explored in a way that satisfied me. It was just like I'm mulatto, so nothing's going my way. And it was like I'm mulatto and things should be going my way. It was just like, yeah, I just couldn't. And it was, she just said mulatto way too many times for me. Way too many times.
Yeah, and one time I thought she actually made an interesting point about how being mulatto versus just like biracial was different, but then she didn't really expound on it though,
Mm.
because I actually was like, oh, that's interesting, because I never thought about that, but then that's kind of where it stopped.
Yeah, and then I feel like the author got very negligent by comparing being mulatto as being the queer of races. It was some phrasing like that where it was just like we're basically like the queer people of races. And I was just like, I don't like that. I feel like she should have had some sensitivity readers to like point that out that that wasn't a good comparison to me anyways. I just felt like that was distasteful.
I get what you're saying. I think what she was just trying to point out is that in a way, like she stands out more in the community as someone who is queer, especially in like a black community. When
Mm,
you're mixed sometimes, and like you're especially when you're black and white. Well, back in the day, you'll see more people like looking at you and being like, okay, what are you? Who's white and who's black? The mama
mhm.
or the daddy? And
Yeah.
so, well, not to. So yeah, either way it goes, people do look at you in the same way they will look at like somebody who's queer. And sometimes people feel like they accept a queer person before they accept a mixed person.
And I think that's interesting. I think that's something that she should have talked about further. Like it's just like she just threw
Yeah,
a little piece in there and then it was just like the conversation.
yeah. A lot of her, I noticed like throughout the book, she do just throw stuff out there. Like she didn't really talk much about having an autistic child as much as you would think she would have. Like just the only way she was letting it be known is because he was making like this make believe world that he was from. But she didn't go like off of like if he had like a episode or if he didn't like to be touched or like to have certain colors or like a certain type of food. Like she didn't break none of that down to let you know the character. It was more of her just telling, just like the same
I think you cut out, but
way. It was a base person. Uh-oh. I just
yeah,
did.
you
Can
had
you hear
cut
me
out.
now?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. I don't even with her, I don't know if with her being mixed, you don't know if she look more white or do she look more black.
Mhm.
You didn't get she didn't really go deep into that.
Yeah, it was just like sometimes she hot combs her hair. Like she had mentioned that and like I feel like she was just unsure about herself. Like even when she kept meeting up with Hampton, she was changing the way she dressed to fit into what she thought he wanted to see. But even just about her kids, I feel like I don't know if it was the author's intention for it to be clear that she was so removed from their lives to showcase like how committed she was to being a writer because she was more committed to being a writer than she was a mother. And so like her book was her baby. And so after that kind of fell through and Hampton stole the book, that's when she started to show up for her kids. Like she's cooking dinner, she's outlining their meals for the week, like she's present. And so like I feel like even just like with her son being on the spectrum, and then even just her daughter's like conflict with like the dolls, like she just did not know her kids. She hadn't taken the time to really learn her kids. And that part was kind of sad to me because it's just like you're just like you can't even consider them in the fact that y'all don't have a home and y'all are staying in other people's homes and you don't know who your children are. Like even just Ruby's birthday party and she invited all these people from my class and Ruby's like, I don't know any of these girls. And it's just like then Jane goes back and she's just kind of sad and disappointed because she doesn't feel appreciated. That was part of her being audacious to me.
I love to hear you word things differently because I'm like, okay, that's interesting.
No, for
Because
real.
I'm like all negative on her, but then now you give me a different descriptive, and I'm like, okay, well maybe I could have seen it that way too, but she was just like it was like all red when I kept reading her actions, and even a party, I was just like, okay, she is going to have something, for her daughter, but then it's like who again, like you said, who were all these people? And it's just like, she she to me, it was just like she was very absent from the kids' lives. And it was just like clear as day. Like, do you even know your kids? And that's why I really had like an issue with them moving around so often because it's like you're not providing stability to the kids.
Yeah.
And it's just like, what are we doing here? Yeah.
Yeah, like the kids are just as lost as their parents are. And then
Yes.
even Lenny's just like, we should just move to Japan. That'll solve all our problems. And it's like, it really won't. You will be an outcast in Japan. Like that's not gonna absolve all of the poor habits you all have as a couple and for your family. And I think even his wanting to move to Japan was just selfish of him. They were both two very selfish artists who happened to come together. And not even just happened to come together, because why would she allow this fortune teller to persuade her to ruin whatever relationship he was in beforehand, just because she stumbled upon him at a party?
And I just think that teller was just like so BS. And the night that she like called him when she met him, I felt like the fortune teller just wanted her to get off the phone. Like, please move on, stop calling me. Um, but I think it just showed how desperate she was,
Mhm.
to find someone and have some sort of companionship. Because of just like her previous situations or relationship that she got into. And it really cracked me up when I read that she like called her exes and was trying to get back with them, and they was like, no, like especially the guy that was like, oh no, my therapist said you're a narcissist. I said, oh child, oh, he was reading her to pieces. But yeah, it just she just was all over for me, and I was just like, you guys created a family in all this chaos, like how?
Yeah, they they just made no sense to me. They made no sense to me as a couple. Like Jane is just a very hard character for me to come to terms with. Usually I can empathize with characters even when they're not great characters. I can, but she was very hard. She was very hard to make sense of. And just a gullible person, like very gullible, always being taken advantage of. And I feel like she was taken advantage of because she thought everything was supposed to be easy for her. And it was kind of like her entitlement showing up. It's one thing to manifest and have high hopes for yourself, but to feel entitled to everything, that's mind-boggling. I'm trying to see what are some other things that I like highlighted. And then when Brett was like that he loved her, I couldn't really analyze that scene properly. Because it's like, was he saying like he was in love with her, or what was it?
I took it as if he was having feelings for her, and which I was surprised because she had been dreaming about him. So I was
Hmm.
surprised she didn't say anything. She brushed it off. She brushed the subject off. But she also probably felt because he was going through a divorce is why he said that.
Yeah, like I couldn't, like everything Brett was going through, I couldn't really understand. It's just like they're supposed to be our forefront mulattoes in the book or whatever. And like trying to see the differences between them. I don't know. Was it just like because he didn't center his race, that's why he was successful? Is that the question we're supposed to be asking ourselves? Because like obviously she did and everything that she worked on, but that got her nowhere or not where she wanted to be. Message.
And also when reading this, I kept and once I started listening to the audiobook, I was like kind of reminded me of the show Mixed-ish. But their story base was very much better and funny. So I was like, okay, I kind of see where she's trying to go, but she didn't hit it. She needed more like context clues.
Yeah, I thought the same thing. I was like, this book is very much Kenya Barris, like all of his shows. And like I like Grownish. I watched a few episodes of Blackish, and then I tried to watch some episode of Mixedish, and I just couldn't get behind it. And then he had that show Black AF on Netflix, and that's where I was like, I don't like his stuff. Like I just was not a fan of it because I feel like it was just like it's supposed to be satire a little bit, but it also felt like very like it was a mockery, making a mockery of Black people, especially like in color television specifically. I don't feel like it was like all of the bad the bad jokes or like the things that were supposed to be funny were mostly relevant to like her Black side. Like I don't think it was a balance. And that's kind of how I felt about like Black AF and then Mixedish. So I feel like, okay, like Kenya Barris is kind of dragging this out a little bit. And it's like, granted, I don't know the experience of what it's like to be half Black and half white. Um, but I would like to see it done in a way where it's not like, poor me, I'm half Black, half white. Like it's always with this undertone of like victim mentality. Mm. But again, that could just be me. I do be processing in real time, but I don't know. Do y'all think there's anything that the author could have did to make this book better?
Um, I definitely think, expounding on a lot of the topics that she did touch. because when it started and she was talking about ABC, give me a second, puppy. It's she started to talk about, the diagnosis of her son. I was like, oh my God, don't tell me this is gonna be a book that I can like really like relate to. And I just was like, I'm confused. Are we gonna get back to that story? Are we gonna talk about, where they are and the trials that she is experiencing while writing this book? So that was one topic that I felt like she could have expanded more. And like for me, another topic is like, where did their relationship go downhill? I think that would have been good for me to get a better understanding of, apart from just like he's a painter and yada 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 and this. And I think just more so the struggles with not being chosen with her book, sending it off to, the publisher or the agent, and then, not getting that positive feedback that she was looking for, or that anticipation
Yeah.
um, to go. And for me, I don't know, because you just mentioned it a while ago, and it's really a great reflection with Yellowface, because I felt like Yellowface was so more detailed with the whole book writing experience. And even though she stole the whole idea and concept, which I don't want to share that much to take away from this book and for the others who haven't read it, but I just felt like there was just like a lot of storylines that was not well addressed and detailed for the readers to like connect. It just left like question marks, like, okay, we're talking about this and we move on to something else, like tie it all in for me. So I think that's a couple of things that they could have done better.
Yeah, those areas where it was just underdeveloped. Um, But when you mentioned like their relationship, it made me think of like, I just felt like even when she wrote in her letter that it was basically like an arranged marriage, like I feel like the entire marriage was just forced from the very beginning. And then like she would often like there was moments where she was alluding to like, was Lenny gay? Like, was he interested in men? Like they were trying to have sex and like it just wasn't like he couldn't get it up, and then they were out to eat and like he was like staring longingly at the gay bachelor party. It's just like stuff like that I wish she would have really touched on and really explored, because like they didn't really enjoy one another's art, and I feel like that's kind of a deal breaker for me if my partner doesn't support the art that I create. That's like the like my biggest passion and just like clearly all consuming for Jane. Like that would have been enough for me to walk away. And even for Lenny, he should have walked away because she hated his art. And I think she made it clear to him that she wasn't a fan of his art. But some other things that I think could have made the book better was just, again, focusing on a specific storyline and really trying to showcase what it's like to be biracial in a fast changing racial climate, especially in Hollywood and in California, because they kept hinting at like what most of the women were like within LA and how they were looked at in Hollywood, and then just even the girl who ended up taking her spot once the TV show came about. Um, I think like focusing on that would have given us a better story, in my opinion. Has anyone read anything else by Danzy? Because people say Caucasia is good, but I haven't read it.
I haven't.
No, no, but this would be my first and my last book, I'll tell you that much.
Oh, well, I can understand that. Yeah, I don't think I'm a rush to read anything else by her. But everybody's just like, she's worth it. And I'm just like, I don't think so. Yeah, like they said it's a best-selling book. So I don't know. That Caucasian is a best-selling book. So I honestly don't know. I just
It's
can't.
also funny because who she's married to. And so for some reason I was like, oh, this book is gonna be so good because of her husband, which has nothing to do with anything.
I was like, I was like, they so I just found out on Friday that she's married to Percival Everett.
Oh,
No
okay.
idea. I had absolutely no idea. But I was just like,
Not my Percy. No, 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 no. Something's wrong here. They are definitely giving me the characters in the book because
yeah,
either he don't like her work or something. Because my Percy, he too good for this.
yes, I was like, it's given that the author does not, like the author is still coming to terms with her identity. That's what it felt like to me. Because I was just like, there's no way. And then on top of that, like, why didn't your husband read this book before you put it out? But James came out in the same year, so he was obviously busy. And I wonder like what their conversations are like in regards to these two books because they're completely different. And like just their conversations like as an artist or a writer being married to another artist or writer, like what is that experience truly like? Because like Jane and Lenny had their separate quarters, if you will, where they were creating and doing their thing. And it's just like it's so easy to kind of hide those artistic parts of yourself from your partner until it gets published. Even just like the way that Jane was lying to Lenny, that was rubbing me the wrong way. Like, why not just tell him the truth? Like,
But I feel like she kind of lied and was like deceitful to everybody. I mean, look at how she did Brett. I don't she she was lying to her husband. She told Brett I then ignored him. She was negligent of her children. She sees a fellow professor sleeping in her office and runs away. She's just not that great of a person.
not a good person. I'm just like, where are her parents? I would have liked to hear, like, see what that relationship is like. Because, like, her mom was in like a community home. And I feel like she was just judging everybody around her. Like, she just had it all together.
And I think that was one of her problems. She had such an idea of what she felt like she should be or should have accomplished, or how she comes off to other people, instead of actually trying to work on what was happening with her at the present. Because she spent 10 years on that book and so quickly, I mean, she didn't get good feedback, but she so quickly abandoned a book that she said she was so passionate about and that it was her life's work, which is how she ended up in the situation that she ended up in with Hampton.
Yeah.
And even with her relationship, she had tunnel vision because of something a person over the phone told her. And then years later, she's questioning whether or not he was even the person that she should have ended up with.
And was there someone else in there wearing Vans and like, girl, it is a decade, over a decade ago. And just like she's in her early 30s and just like I don't like I can see like the pressures of expecting yourself to be in a different position than what you're in, but it's just like she needed this is why community is important. She needed people around her who actually cared about her. And I don't think she allowed people that in that close because she didn't care about her. And it was like she was always afraid of people seeing who she truly was. But it's just like, girl, who are you? Who are you? I think that's what bothers me about the character because I still feel like even at the end, we don't know who she is as a person. Then it's like, oh, her and the other professor are both, what they say, 4-4, and they're having to like teach all these classes, and now you want to talk to her because now you think you two are on the same playing field, but at first, like you thought you was above her. You thought she was beneath you because she was sleeping in her office or having all these things to do.
Yeah, it was the same way with Brett, how she felt like she was above him because she was sticking it out as an author versus he pivoted and was actually successful doing TV. But then she tried to do what he was doing just
Yeah.
for like a get rich quick scheme because he probably was the person where if she really had an interest in pivoting to TV, could have been the person that helped her.
Yes.
Like, but because she was doing everything in a backhanded way, she couldn't even confide in him or talk to him about anything because he probably would have told her, yeah, you probably shouldn't hand the manuscript over to this person that's looking for content right now.
Right. Lisa said, I think she displayed a lot of jealousy. She was jealous. She was jealous of everyone else
Yeah.
this, and then like she was just like constantly failing. But I agree with you, Betty. Like if she would have reached out to Brett, like I feel like that would have been a better way to get into the door if she truly wanted to be a screenwriter. But I don't think she actually wanted to be a screenwriter. It's just like you said, like she wanted to get rich quick because she was just like, oh, I can buy this doll, I can charge this off, I can do this, I can buy this dress because I'm about to get paid. And it's just like, no, you're not. Like that contract never came through. Like all of the signs was there. She was just being very ignorant.
No, for me, when she sent the book off, she started to plan and plot. And she was like, I'm gonna get this house, I'm gonna live in this area. I was like, girl, you didn't even get a deposit yet. What are you doing? It was just like I think, and that's where I was like, I just felt like she was jealous because of all the other individuals that had the success or had, something that she wanted for herself that she just wasn't accomplishing at the moment. I was just like, she's just jealous. And I don't think that she's getting or she want the success or want the items because that is what she desires. I think it's just because of what everyone else have around her. And she's choosing to go that route. Yeah.
Yeah. And even her obsession with multicultural Mayberry. Like she was so invested in moving there that she put her children inside of a nursing home or a retirement home. Like that, I was just like, and Lenny just went along with it. I just I was like, is this happy wife, happy life? Because I don't like it. I don't like it. He should have stood up to her. Because like he had really good points. It was just like just because like if they would have lived in Burbank or whatever, and she's like, oh, that school has too many people that aren't like our kids. And it's just like you have a problem with them being surrounded by other brown faces and being around Latinos, and it was just like that part didn't sit well with me as far as Jane goes, because it's just like, what's the problem with them going to a school in that district if that's more affordable and you can stay there for a longer period of time? Just to move to that retirement home and still have a two-bedroom, two-bathroom. But I do hope that the retirement home is good for the kids. At the end of the book, I was just like, at this point, there's nobody else to root for but the kids. There's nobody to have high hopes for outside of um Ruby. And what was the son's name?
Finn.
Men, yes. And
Yeah.
they get to be around other adults that have kind of lived a life that they can get some wisdom from because their parents are they just seem very still like absent at the end of the book. But do y'all have any other moments from the book that y'all want to pick apart or any characters?
I hated Lenny more. Probably more than Jane.
You're supposed to be a provider. You're supposed to be
And because of how he was, she was able to like shift blame. He definitely deserves some blame for the situation that they were in. And it was interesting because of the fact that he actually came from, did she say middle or upper class background?
yeah, like upper middle class.
But I guess he was just so opposed to perpetuating that type of lifestyle. I don't know. But yeah, those poor kids. I mean, I didn't like Hampton at all either. And his obsession with biracial people was like even more weird than he just even when he was talking about the episodes, like, oh, this isn't like biracial enough.
Yeah.
It
And it was just like you're married to a white woman. Why
right.
why can't you take some of your own experiences? Like even just the whole birthday party incident with the Kardashians, it was just like, why did you need her to try to form that into an episode? And it makes me think like he's supposed to be this successful producer, screenwriter, and he's stealing people's ideas.
Right. And what about the night they all like Jane randomly does drugs with them?
Yeah.
What is happening?
Yes, we were talking about that briefly, just like why would you it's like she was just easily influenced to do things.
Yeah.
You don't do drugs and you decide with these three strangers you're gonna try it because it's coming out of a candy jar. That made no sense to me. Like it was just a like she was just a very desperate woman. Like she was desperate for success. Yeah.
And I feel like maybe I think what I struggle with the most with her too is the fact that she has two children. Like, maybe you can navigate a little bit more that way all over the place, like being extremely selfish when it's just you, but you have a husband and two children at home, which is probably why you shouldn't just randomly take pills from this young girl that you don't know.
And then come home and cook this lavish breakfast that no one wants to eat. She was just so detached from her reality. She was detached, and I hated it. I hated it about it. And it's just
And
like,
then
no, go ahead.
with Brett, when he had been saying he was trying to reach out to her because he was getting a divorce, I had like some sympathy for him until he popped up with like a whole new woman to move into the house.
And then she's like 20 years younger than him. And it's just like as her friend, first of all, her kids are there. Even if you don't want them there anymore, why are you walking around shirtless and in your boxers? Like that's inappropriate. Just tell them to get out. Yes, all the characters was all over the place. Like is that Hollywood? Is that what we're supposed to get from this? That no one has it together in Hollywood? Hmm.
I do have a question. Did she ever explicitly say why Ruby didn't want to play? What was the reason why Ruby didn't want to play with the black doll at first? Or do we not really know?
I feel like we still don't really know. I know it was just like she said you can't just have one American Girl doll. You have to have a collection. And it's just like, why would you get me the black one? But it's just like, I guess for Ruby, she didn't see herself as black. Like, I think we were supposed to like interpret that because then she started to gravitate more towards was it a Native American or Indian doll? Like she felt like that was more kind of reflective of her until the end, and then she was sleeping in the nightgown that matched the other
Yeah.
American. I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I was getting. I get it that her kids was always around white kids, probably. So she probably identified herself as more of that. So, or she didn't want to stand out too much, just like her mom. Don't
Yeah,
want, don't want that weird question asked or something like that. I feel.
yeah, I can see that. But it's like neither one of her parents were really that open with her about her race. And so then it's like, oh, well, Ruby's probably gonna grow up with a complex because she's unsure, because her parents are unsure. And Finn's just off in his own world. Like for Ruby, it probably is a very isolating experience in that family. Mhm. Yeah. All in all, I am very sorry for this book club pick. I was expecting it to be much better. But
No, it's okay. It's okay. But listen, you weren't the only one that was fooled because I was like, listen, I had it on my list and I skipped it at the library. And then when I saw you change the books for the book club, I was like, oh, okay. I already have this on the list at the library. It's gonna be so good. Ooh, child.
it's like, no, we gotta have those. We gotta have those one book club picks every once in a while to remind us of what type of books we do. Just to say we tried it. We know what we don't like.
And
Then
it's also not the first time I've read a book that's like critically acclaimed and I read it and I'm like, I'm confused. That's happened a couple times.
what was the critics saying? What were the critics saying? I don't know. Like I'm reading the blurbs. Because when I seen that it was a satire, I love Black Book, which was a satire as well. And I think I just don't like racially driven satire. Like, even, but Black Buck was done well. So I don't know. I don't know. But that author blurbed it and said he adored the book. I don't understand what there was to adore. Say you'll read and wonder, is she in my head? I never had the same thoughts as Jane. Not once. She probably should have moved her family to Montana, settled down, found a house they could afford, teach somewhere else, and call it a day. I don't know. But all in all, I do feel like next month's book is going to be good. It's The Fantasies of Future Things. It's a debut novel by Doug Jones, and it's queer literature following two Black men in Atlanta working in real estate and dealing with their sexuality and masculinity. Yeah, I have high hopes. If this is bad, we're just gonna take June off. We're gonna take June off and try try again in July. But um, if we don't have anything else, we can end this month's book club discussion. And again, hope for the best next month.
I have a quick question. What did people say at the in-person meetup? Did people feel differently or is everybody kind of feeling the same?
Everybody felt the exact same.
Okay.
A lot of people, a lot of people like DNF'd it. I think only three people, two or three people finished it by the in-person meeting. I was not one of those people. I finished it yesterday. Um, and everybody else was just like they could not finish it. Like there was no way they could finish it. It was just an unbearable read for everyone. They did not enjoy it. It was slow. It was slow to some of them, and the characters were just so bad. It just felt like no need to read it. That's what most of them said. And I just felt so bad. Like I feel so bad that the book was that bad because I was expecting more.
It wasn't that bad. I wanted to like Ritual. I wanted to continue to read it to figure out what happened. And like I said, it made me chuckle a little here and there. But yeah, it's not something that I would be like, oh yeah, go get that book right now. But it wasn't too bad.
Yeah, I don't, it's not the worst book I ever read. I will say that. It's not the worst book. I just feel like there were moments that could have been executed better for me to rate the book higher or to have a better reading experience with it. It just feel pretty short for me, but I don't think I would like recommend it to everyone. I would only recommend it to people who are like they love mixed dish. That's the only people I would recommend it to.
And I did like the show Mixed, but no, the show was better than this book.
Yeah. Like even once I finished it, I was just like, okay, I could have seen that coming. Did I really need to finish the pages to get that? Because I think Friday I only had like 50 pages left before we met in person. And I was just like, here, let me finish it because I need to know. I have to finish it. It's a book club book. But yeah, it was just disappointing. I guess like there wasn't any character growth. I need to see some growth in the characters, and that was just absent. Maybe she will be less naive moving forward, hopefully. But more so, I hope that she finds her identity beyond the tragic mulatto story that she's holding on to. But yeah.
I'm excited about next month's book already. I'm over this. It passed. I'm just like, okay, I know where to put this book now. I can actually give this book away.
No, some people did that in person, in person because we met at a bookstore that accepts donations. And so they
Oh,
we donate our book. Just like if you want to, I keep all of the book club books, so I kept mine. I'm gonna keep it, but like, yeah, donate it. If you don't want it, don't keep it.
yeah. Because I tell you, I have it on my Kindle, and I was like, oh, child, I done paid for the Kindle with this too. Oh, child. No.
Oh,
Oh, God.
my money. It's bad when it's your own money. Like, why is it so bad? And then I'm like convincing myself because I spent my own money. I'm like, it's gotta be good. It has to be good. But yeah, I am excited for next month. I feel like I'm gonna cry. And we haven't read any like queer literature, like gay men since Giovanni's Room. And I know a lot of people were saying that with Giovanni's Room, they were hoping for it to be a little more clear whether the characters were black or whatever their racial identity was. But this one, like, it's very evident, it's clear that these are black gay men that we get to read about. So I think it's gonna be a good one. And I'm trying
I'm
to,
I'm hoping it's some great stories in there too.
yeah, and I'm trying to get the author to join us. So just be on the lookout
Nice. Nice.
for like the first 20-30 minutes so we can ask him some questions.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, ladies, thank you for a fun hour.
Yes, thank you for making it. I know y'all could have.
Thank you. Yeah. All right. So we'll see you guys next month. Thanks, ladies. Bye
Thanks.
bye.
Bye, everybody.